on, everybody? What is going on? This is your boy. This is your boy, Gen X Trump, the good Trump, Tory, whatever you want to call me. Um, Back here to talk a little wrestling. It's been busy, man. Holidays and everything. I'm pretty sure a lot of you all been doing your Christmas shopping or whatever. As I tape this on Christmas Eve, um, lot to get into today. I wanted to talk about some wrestling. I wanted to talk about what's going to happen here on our YouTube channel here. Um, and just get into a lot of things that y'all going to see beginning of the new year. Let me just get everything out the way first. If you see the QR code, scan it. Follow us on TikTok. We got some exciting stuff there for however long TikTok plans on being around. That's we don't know. I'm they're saying January 19th. I'm hoping they push that 6 days. Can we at least get our debut show? It's not really a debut show; it's a return show. We did this show back in. I did this show back in 2023, in April and May, and we were live on Instagram and TikTok, but not at the same time. So this time we'll be live on there at the same time. So definitely give me 6 days TikTok. Okay, all right, that's all I'm asking for. In the meantime, yeah, everything here. Quiet holidays for me. I'm in Florida, my family's up north. So it's just another day for me. For real. Just to be honest with you. A quiet day. It's gonna be chill, cool. I'm gonna cook some dinner on Christmas Day. Some recipes I've been seeing on Facebook and shit. So we're gonna try it and I'm gonna post it. Speaking of that, this channel, the Rip Radio, the Rip TV YouTube channel, beginning in January, will be offering memberships. Now, what you're going to get with those memberships are exclusive live shows. You're also going to get some IRL streams and IRL videos. All of our IRL content will be subscription based once the subscriptions get up and running. I think we're looking at January, somewhere mid January. In case you don't know what IRL means, that's in real life streams. So it's kind of like reality streams where we're not doing the typical podcast, but we're out and about. We're live. We might be over someone's house. We might be doing something, but it'll be streaming live. And of course, I'll let them know, or whoever is doing the live stream on this channel will let whoever they're with know that we're live. But we're going to be doing some IRL stuff on a subscription basis here on the channel. It's going to be fun. I think you all will like it. So that's coming in January as well. Speaking of in real life, let's talk about some professional wrestling. But before I do that, I gotta get one thing off my chest real quick. Can we get rid of the self checkout lines? Can we? They're completely obsolete now. I went to the store today. The self checkout line was longer than the regular cashier line. You get people in there who get in the self checkout line who don't know how to use the self checkout, don't know how to use the thing when they get there. And what does that do? That holds up everybody else. The self checkout line is now obsolete. Stop being cheap. Hire more cashiers. That's more jobs because more self checkout lines means less jobs. Give it to those. Hire people. More jobs so these lines can move because these people don't know what the hell they doing when they get in self checkout line. You had to the self checkout line was meant to speed things along. It was also meant for those of you who don't have a lot of groceries so you can go in and out. I see people with carts full of stuff going in the self checkout line. Why? It makes no sense to me. So yeah, the self checkout line has run its course. Let's get rid of it. Bring back the cashiers who work and know what they're doing. That way, you also have more jobs. And let's go back to that because a lot of these people getting the self checkout line don't know what the hell they're doing. And then when they do get in there, they bring in like 70, 100 groceries, a cart full of groceries, and that is not meant for the self checkout line. So that's my little rant for today. Professional wrestling. Let's get into it. Week in review. And I'm going to start with this week, obviously, which would be Monday or tonight, whatever. I don't watch tape shows. when it comes to professional wrestling. I don't like watching professional wrestling shows that are not live. I just can't do it. That's why I'm not watching Raw right now. I'm not a um taped show person. And who ruined that? Raw. Back in the 90s when they were taped every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, they would tape a whole month full of shows. And I just couldn't get with it. It was just professional wrestling is meant to be live. It just is. Because now in this era of the internet, now you have all these fools who like to put spoilers out there for some damn reason or whatever, you know. Um yeah, I understand why they did it. They're giving talent time off, and that's great. And they need to do that. And hopefully the only time they do that is around this time of the year, the holiday, you know. I hope this is the only time they do it and don't make it a regular thing. And that's the great thing about Netflix because now they can go out of the country. And even though they're in different time zones, they can still go live. So now, us in the US, we got to catch them. And then on top of that, the great thing about Netflix is once it's off, it's immediately available on demand. Can't beat that. So I love that Netflix thing. So um, hopefully this will be the end of the tape shows, at least until the Thanksgiving, Christmas of next year, because they need a break. Not just the people, the workers in the ring, but the people behind the scenes and all that, man. Professional wrestling has no off season. So this is the closest to an off season they're going to get. And I'm all for it. I don't like the tape shows. I'll just watch again when y'all live. Okay. So we'll keep it like that. I heard Raw was pretty good. I did try to watch it for about 15, 20 minutes. I just couldn't. The vibe, the energy is the vibe isn't there. You can just tell it's taped. I heard it was okay. Wasn't really, you know, anything newsworthy. Nothing really happened newsworthy. So I'll be watching again Friday SmackDown if I'm not doing anything, and I'll definitely be watching Monday, this coming Monday, December 30th, Raw, the final Raw on USA. I'm pretty sure they'll do a little something special for that. This Raw coming up on December 30th should be good because, in a way, you can say this Raw on December 30th is the go home show for the debut on Netflix. So I'm calling this Raw December 30th as the Netflix go home show. So I expect them to set things up. I expect them. Will they do it? We don't know. But I expect them to set it up and also at the same time make it special to pay tribute to USA Network for um, having Raw. I think USA Network had Raw every was 30 years or something, with the exception of maybe what 2 or 3 years they went to Spike TV. But who remembers that? So yeah, this will be should be a special edition of Raw. We will tune in. NXT is tonight. Won't be watching it. It's a tape show. Um, so we'll see. And then Dynamite is tomorrow. The main thing about this stream today, or about this video, is I'm going to be giving some quick suggestions on how I would restart AEW. Some quick ideas. But before that, as you know, I don't really talk about news here. It's just not my thing. I'm not looking to break news. I'm not going to upload a video every time something breaks. I'm not going to read something off a newsletter and regurgitate it to you here. Not doing that. If you heard it somewhere else, you heard it. But I will talk about some stuff that I know is for sure. Or if I get an exclusive piece of news that you won't hear anywhere else, then I'll talk about it. Um, but the thing with Lee Fitting that's going around, who is the who took Kevin Dunn's place in the WWE with all the allegations he has now when he left ESPN. I don't know. You would think that with everything going on with Vince McMahon, that they would do their due diligence before hiring anybody, even if Lee Fitting is Nick Khan's boy, even if that's your boy. If that's your boy and you knew what happened you might need to go because who can trust you, Nick Khan? But if that's your boy and you didn't know and he didn't tell you so it wouldn't surprise you, he's not your boy. He needs to go. Now, I heard a little bit of it, and a little bit of it, I was like, okay, this cancel culture bullshit is coming up. The man made some jokes or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Let it go. Don't fire him over that. And then I started hearing more about what he did. If I'm the WWE, you gotta sit this man down. Or you may have to let him go. You may have to let him go. And this is not a good look at all for them, especially with the McMahon shit going on now. And even though McMahon isn't there, this is he was there, and this happened while he was there. So it's a stain on the WWE. Now you got Lee Fitting and all this shit that happened before he came to the WWE, and you didn't look into it, or you looked into it and turned a blind eye. This is not good. Not only is this not good for Lee Fitting, this is not good for Nick Khan or whoever hired him. I'm not going to throw Triple H in there because Triple H, when it comes to that, I don't, I don't know. This is going to Nick Khan. This is going to Nick Khan. So I don't know, man. Is he good at his job? Yes. Lee Fitting is great at his job. I like all the different shots and the different things they're doing. The presentation is a breath of fresh air. But this man went a whole year almost and nobody knew what happened. Or you were hoping it did not come out? Do you know what age we live in? Shit always comes out. You can't hide shit from people dig up shit from 30, 40 years ago and bring it out. You didn't think this shit was gonna come out? Not a good look, man. Especially all that some heads gotta roll. And it may not just be Lee Fitting's head that might have to roll. TKO's gonna have to look at some shit now. Because this is not good. And some of the stuff I read into more wasn't just him joking around. It didn't go as far as it went with McMahon. But when you're a guy in a position of power, and some of the things that are being reported, alleged that he said, or to some point did, um, it's not good. So, yeah, that not, and I'm far from being politically correct. Trust me. If it was just him making some jokes around women and all that, man, whatever. Let that shit slide. Whatever. He didn't assault you. He didn't touch you or nothing like that. And he didn't. But some of the stuff when you're basing who's going to get promoted off of what they wear or how if they don't do this or do that. I'm not talking physically or sexually. That's not good, man. How can anybody trust you? So that, it's crazy. Crazy. We'll see what happens. We'll see if he stays or goes and it's not a lot of people who are as good as he is. So they do let him go. Who's going to replace him? And can they do half of what he did? This is going to have a direct effect on their production and their overall look. It's crazy, man. And if there is a guy or a person out there who is as good as him, are they hired now? Will that company want to let them go? Not good at all. Not a good way to end the year for the WWE. AEW, everybody was talking about this shit. So let me give my 2 cents with Ray Phoenix. Um, I agree and I disagree with Tony Khan, and let me explain to you why. Man, you got to be a boss. You got to be a boss. There is no way I'm letting a talent sit home longer than 60 days to make money and just ice them. As a boss, this is what I'm going to do. If I know you're not going to re-sign with me and your contract is coming up soon, you are going to go out and, bro, you're going to do some jobs for me. You're going to put a lot of people over for me. That's what you're going to do. And then the last 60 days, I'll put you on ice. I'll let you sit home. But before, You're not sitting home 9 months or 8 months and making money off of me, and you ain't doing shit. I don't care how much money I got. You ain't doing nah. You got 2 or 3 talents sitting at home now, probably not injured. If they want out of their contracts, okay, cool. I'm not saying just go out and hand out releases. But if you want out of your contract, or if I know you're not resigning, bruh or ma'am, you got some work to do. And the work includes you're gonna do a few jobs for me, you're gonna put a few people over, and then maybe the last 30 to 60 days or 45 days, then I'll sit you at home. But you're not sitting at home for a year, 6 months, making my money, and you ain't doing shit. Not happening here. With a boss, as a boss, not a friend, you are still under contract to me. You still work for me, and you're going to do what I tell you to do. And if you're going to leave, that's cool. But while you're working for me, you're going to come to work. You're going to go in that ring, and you're going to do some jobs, and you're going to lay down, and you're going to put some people over for me. That's how you're going to go. I'm not going to treat you dirty. I'm not going to bury you, but I'm going to bury you by having you come to work and put people over. And if you don't want to do that, you're not only I'm not only going to pay you, but now you're in breach of contract. So while I don't agree with him sitting them home, there's other ways you could deal with that. It's called being a boss, but this is not just one person. It's two, maybe three, or three others. You want out of your contract. I'm gonna do you a favor. You're gonna do me a favor too. And since you're still under the contract and I'm paying you with my money, get your ass out, up and off the couch. If you ain't injured, you're coming to work and you're gonna do some jobs. End of story. But he's too busy being a friend. Come on, man. You don't do that. Here's another thing I have a problem with, and as a boss, I will not tolerate. If there's any, because I love, don't get me wrong, I love talent. I've worked with a lot of talent too. But when you're running a company, whether it's AEW or any company, period, you have to be a boss and not a friend. Don't be an asshole. I'm not telling you to treat your employees like shit. Don't do that. But at the end of the day, it's a time for pleasure and it's a time for business. And when it's a time for business, we go and do business. Any talent, and I see this and I hate this shit. Any talent that complains on social media about them losing or they're tired of doing this is going to be buried by me if I'm the boss. You don't put that shit out in the public. And as a boss, if you don't like something that's going on in the company, or you don't like your position, or you don't like an angle, or you don't like how you're being used, what you do first is you come to me and talk about it. Unless it's an angle, and it's an angle, and you got permission to go out there and talk about your status that you don't like it. Other than that, if I go on social media and I'm running this company and I see one of my talents complaining about their status or what they're doing, we're going to have a conversation when you come to work. The conversation is the first thing you do if you have an issue is you come to me. We'll talk. Either things are going to work out and we're going to come together on some ideas, or I'm going to do what I think is best for the company and we're going to continue where the road is. It's just whatever makes sense. I'm very open to talents coming and saying, I think this will work, this will do this, blah, blah, blah. Cool. But to go on social media and complain, I'm surprised Dakota Kai is getting pushed because she'd be buried from, I would give her the Triple H treatment that McMahon gave him back in the day when after the Madison Square Garden thing. She'd have been buried for probably a good 6 months. I'm sorry. You got to draw the line somewhere. Because when they see something works that they did, you know what that does? That means the rest of them are going to try. And you can be friendly and love your employees and your talent all you want. But when it's time for business and it's time to be a boss, you have to be a boss. Period. End of story. So That's a pet peeve of mine when it comes to talent, because all we talking about is how promoters this and how Tony Khan's treating this and Tony Khan triple. No, talent has to get in line as well. You signed a contract. You're getting paid. You're gonna do as I tell you to do. If you don't like it, you come to me. We talk. We'll try to come to some common ground if we can. There's no guarantee we will. You don't go out and put that shit on social media unless it's part of an angle we've already talked about. You can put anything else on social media you want. I don't care. But complaining about your position in the company on social media before you came to me will not be tolerated. Period. AEW, Ricochet. um, a lot of people, a lot of people are talking about Ricochet, and they're talking about his new uh role, being a heel or putting a heel or trying to gradually turn heel. Yeah, let me explain something that I see with Ricochet. First of all, he was heel before he became mainstream. Didn't he have a gimmick? I think he was called King Ricochet. And that's where I thought the WWE was going with the King of the Ring tournament with him. Um, his role now, I kind of like and don't like. The way I would have turned Ricochet heel was I would have kept him being a nice dude, smiling and all of that. And I don't give a damn. Me as the boss, if I'm in the Tony Khan role, I'm going to do everything in my power to try to bring in his wife. If she flats out denies it, okay, cool, we'll go another way. I think Ricochet's wife should be the reason he's going heel. She said she wanted to do more in wrestling, not just ring announce. The WWE didn't want that apparently. And if I'm AEW and I'm hearing that, I'm going after her immediately. Ricochet loses. She comes out, slaps him in the face, slaps him again. He's too soft. He needs to stop acting like a bitch. And gradually over time, he comes to the ring with his wife, and you see his attitude changing, and she's pleased with that. So now they're a couple, they're a heel couple, and you have a beautiful lady in there now who's doing what she wants to do. And then you have Ricochet who's heel. And she can be his mouthpiece. He don't have to talk all the time. Let her talk for him since he's not that good on the mic. But all this wild laughing and shit, man, leave that shit alone. Stop all of that. AEW rebrand, as I like to call it, would start with all them damn titles y'all have. They got to go. They got to go. Let's start with AEW itself before I go to Ring of Honor. The only titles AEW should have for the men, obviously the world title. I would keep the international title. And I would rebrand the TNT title. I would bring back the old television title, where it's defended every week and there's a 15-minute time limit. With the international title, can be their version of the intercontinental title. Or you can rename it the WAW, which MJF did. I'm surprised they didn't keep it. The AEW American title. One of those two, but there should only be 3 titles on the roster. Okay, period. With the women, but yeah, the TNT title, back to the men. The TNT title, we getting rid of that. We're not having no damn network names for titles. Not happening. The TNT title will be renamed the television title or something along those lines. That's it for the men. For the singles men. The tag titles, of course, you only have those. Cool. I'm getting rid of that damn trios. I don't know why that shit's still around. They don't hardly do anything with it. It was dumb to begin with. I never liked it back in the old WCW days when they had the 6-man tag team titles. It makes no sense. Get rid of those titles. For the women, the world title, yes. Have also, we're going to rename the TBS titles to something else for the women. To hell with all that. To hell with all that TBS and TNT. We're getting rid of that. All right. Those are the titles for the women. Now, Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor is going to be my NXT. This is going to be my developmental second brand. We don't have to label it a developmental, but we know that's what it is. This is going to be the brand where all of the people who are good, but I don't have enough room on the main roster for. This is Ring of Honor is where they're going. And then once they do that, then you can bring them up to AEW. We're not going to call it a developmental, but we know that's what it is because we'll see people from Ring of Honor come to AEW. But the key to that is to keep them completely separated. Completely separated. I don't watch Ring of Honor. I'm not paying $9 a month for it or whatever that shit is. How stupid is that? Watch RH. Watch it for what? $10 a month for that shit? Or even if it was $2.99, I'm not paying to watch Ring of Honor. It makes no sense. So Ring of Honor, okay, you have Chris Jericho as your champion now. Cool. I'm gonna let him put somebody over who I know can carry Ring of Honor for a little while. Okay? Then you have Ring of Honor. You have the Ring of Honor World Champ. I think they have the Ring of Honor TV Champ. Okay. That's it. Ring of Honor Tag Team Champs. We might not even do tag team for Ring of Honor yet. You have to get at least I want at least 6 tag teams before I can declare a tag team title or tag team division. I think a tag team division has to have at least 6 tag teams before it can really be called a tag team division. You can't have 4 tag teams in the division. Does Raw or SmackDown have 6 tag teams in their divisions? Do they? If not, the tag titles won't matter. It's not enough people fighting for them. And that's when you're going to start mixing up people and putting people together for like one shot. It makes no sense. But that's what I would do. Who would my main stars be? First thing I'm doing is somehow, some way, I'm putting the title back on Swerve. Somehow, some way, he's getting the title. MJF is in the mix. Of course, you know that. Um, John Moxley. John Moxley would play the role of the crazy person. Like when he first came there, he did something where he was in a straight jacket. He needs to go back to just being the crazy person we know who's going to bleed all over the place. He's going to do these hardcore matches. That's John Moxley. John Moxley is an attraction. He should not be a champion. All right. And I told you on a previous show what I think they should do with the what's the name of his group? I can't even the Walking Dead Risers, whatever the hell it is. You know what I'm talking about. For the women, I think for the women, the end game would be Tony Storm versus Monet. That's the end game at All In. That's if I'm Tony Khan, I'm writing this down right now. I'm putting it in pen, unless there's an injury. The end game for All In is Monet and Storm. Period. Timeless Tony Storm, not the Tony Storm we have now. Although I like what she's doing. And then whoever's booking it, I'm going to tell them to get us there. But this is where I want you to get to. Storm Monet. Do it right. Soraya, you got to bring her back, push her. You got to do something with Thunder Rosa or let her go down to Ring of Honor. Something. Um, you have to put the tag titles on the I'm just forgetting everybody's name today. But the tag team there, they're 80s, they do an 80s gimmick. I'm putting the tag straps on them, and I'm going to develop everybody on that brand. And every dynamite is going to be featured around this group of talent. In and out, in and out. Every week, this group of talent is going to be the main part of the show. Like back in the 90s, Raw. Every week, you knew you were going to see Stone Cold, The Rock, Bret Hart when he was there, The Undertaker, and I think I'm forgetting a couple of people. But though every Monday Night Raw, the show was based around them. This is what Dynamite needs to do. Period. So that's where I would get to. The end game for the men's division would be MJF and Swerve. I don't think they've met, but that's my all-in end game. He needs that. I hope he has. He probably doesn't, but I hope he has a bunch of end game matches for all in, and then let somebody else do the creative. And you, as the boss, you tell them this is my end game for all in. Take me there. That's what you do. Period. So, it's a couple other things, but I think that those are the basics of how I would kind of rebrand AEW. And for God's sakes, to get a new logo, you got to make people think that this is actually an all new AEW. Get a logo. The AEW this Saturday, as I record this Saturday will be World's End. They need to set up 2025 based off of this show. How you do this show can set you up for 2025. You don't look at World's End as the end of 24. You need to look at this pay-per-view coming up this Saturday as the tone setter for next year for 25. And I hope that's the way they're thinking. This needs to set the tone up because I think Dynamite is January 1st. But this show, this pay-per-view this weekend needs to set the tone. Period. So, new logo, revamped titles, defined main stars. If you have any plans, if you don't have any plans for anybody on that roster, no plans whatsoever, release them. Release them. Period. If there are superstars who are not going to resign, who are asking for a release that have some impact, if you know what I'm saying, they have some type of shock value if they leave. Until they leave, they need to come to work, and you need to have them put people over. Ricky Starks, you want to leave? Okay, I'm not going to let you sit down a whole year. I need you on Dynamite this week for the sole purpose of putting over such and such. And if you don't do it, you won't get the rest of your pay, or I'm going to sue you for breach of contract. Same thing with Ray Phoenix. If he's healthy, let him come in and until his contract is up, whenever it is. I don't know. I've heard rumors 9 months or whatever. There's no way in hell I'm letting a talent that I'm paying sit home and do nothing healthy for 9 months. If I know you're leaving, cool. But guess what? Until you leave, you're coming to work and you're going to put over some people. We're going to benefit from losing you. So that's what I would do. Here's another thing and then I'm finished. People are saying, oh, AEW is never going out of business. AEW is never doing this, never doing that. I agree with one thing. The WWE cannot put AEW out of business. That's not going to happen. Because unlike WCW at the end, you had people there who didn't want WCW. Tony Khan loves AEW. And more important than that, Tony Khan loves Tony Khan. The only person that's going to shut down AEW is Tony Khan. He has the money. And unlike the WWE and people there, he doesn't really need professional wrestling. He's doing it because he loves it, although he's not very good at it. He's doing it because he loves it. But here is something that I thought about. You know, when as a kid you would have a brand new toy and you would play with it for a long time, and then when you got bored with it, you didn't really play with it as much, or you didn't put your all into playing with it. It would sit there collect dust. It was just it's an old toy. Has anybody ever thought that maybe that's what Tony Khan is feeling right now with AEW? It's a toy that's no longer shiny. He did it. He competed against the WWE. Now he's bored. Not because he's good at it. It's he did it. I would not be surprised one day if Tony Khan was the one that says, F this, I'm shutting this shit down. He would shut it all the way down before he sold it. That's just his ego. He would not sell it to anybody. He would shut the shit down. So as much as people don't think that's possible, in this case, albeit slim, I would not rule that out in the not too distant future. I'm talking about after this TV deal is up and there's been no improvement. And let's say he doesn't get a TV deal again. He'd be the one to shut the shit down. Him. Thank y'all again. Subscribe, like the video, share it, leave your opinions. I want to hear them. Good, bad, whatever. Let me know how you feel about everything. And the next show will be my predictions on 2025 with both companies. What I feel is going to happen. Appreciate y'all. Catch y'all on the next one.